Hey, good morning, guys, and welcome to this AWS demo class. Today, we will cover what's the course contents for this class and what we are going to learn throughout this course. So, our first chapter would be introduction to AWS. What is the AWS, and what kind of services available in AWS, and what kind of services we have to learn into AWS Architect exam. And second chapter for S3. S3 is object level storage in AWS. We have to learn what type of storage available in AWS and what type of storage we have to use as per the scenario base and as per our requirement. We have to choose the best storage for our requirement. Okay, then we will move with the Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud. It's nothing but the server. You can just correlate with your server or your own your desktop. It's a compute cloud into your AWS, so we refer the EC2 in AWS. So we have to configure our desktop or the server on AWS, and we called it the EC2. And then the Amazon Elastic Block Store, it's our block level storage. We can use this storage for the installation of our the operating system or high throughput requirement application. We can put all those type of application on the EBS volumes, not on S3. S3 is not uh, compatible for your OS installation, so we cannot install the OS on your S3 storage. So we have to choose either the Elastic Block Store or the Instance Store. We will look into it also. And then we have chapter 4 for the Amazon virtual private cloud. It's you can think about like a data center, your own data center. If currently you have the data center into your own company, so you can consider this VPC into your VPC as your data center. It's just it just distinct your server from other worlds, and you have total control on your server. Even your server is hosted into the AWS data center. So we will look into it how we can configure, and it's a very important topics for any AWS engineer, whether you are in the the architect or the sysops or any other role. So VPC is very crucial and very important topics for even for exam as well. You will get a couple of questions from this chapter. So there are a couple of components you have to configure in the VPC section. So you have to learn each and every, like the root table, your internet gateway, your security groups, and network access control leads. So there are a couple of components which you have to configure for to make your VPC work and to access your server inside your VPC. Okay, and then we will move to the Elastic Load Balancer. That's the to balance your load over the HTTPS or the TCP/IP protocols. And AWS provide you the three types of the load balancing: the classic load balancer, application load balancer, and the networking load balancer. And we will cover all three load balancer into our course. Then we will move with the CloudWatch. CloudWatch is the monitoring application in AWS, and it monitor your CPU utilization, RAM utilization, your hardware utilization. Basically, not it won't monitor your API utilization, your API request, but it will just like your CPU, RAM, hardware monitor. Then the auto scaling and IAM authentication, how you can configure your user, creates your groups, you create your roles and manage them, and assign your roles to the groups or the user. What is the best practice, whether we have to assign the roles to the particular user or to the groups, and how to manage your resources based on the roles. And then we will cover the database in AWS also. I can say they have the couple of database available, and you don't need to be worried about their underlying hardware because they are hosted on their AWS server. So you just need to provision those database instance and then use them in for your applications. And they have also the like the data warehouse, that's the Redshift, and DynamoDB for the NoSQL, and they have their own proprietary database, that's the Aurora database, which is quite the faster than other database on the AWS. And Elastic Cache, we will also cover the Elastic Cache. It's nothing but the type of a service which improve your application performance on the AWS. And these services like the SQS, SWF, and the SNS, we will also cover these services. What's their use in the AWS, and how we can use them, and how to to loose coupling our application, which service we have to use for the notifications. We will cover all of them also. Then of course the DNS, because this is just in the AWS we call it the route 53, but you can correlate it's the exact simple as the DNS into your own environment. If you have any prior experience in the DNS, then you can correlate the things with route 53 very easily. There is nothing new in the route 53. A few other additional key services also. So we will I have divided this chapter in on the base of the service wise, so that we cover the EC2 into the compute elastic compute section. So let me show you how I divided and how we go through this course. So first we will go with the IAM, then IA user, IA accounts, what's the resource access manager, what's the resource group, their AWS directory services, and the key management service, hardware management service, what's the Cognito, what's the AWS web for sealed use in the AWS. So first, these are the first chapter which will we cover in our course. Okay, and then we will move with the compute. First, once we know how to create the user, how to create the groups, and then role and associated the appropriate role to the particular user or the groups, then we will move with this compute class. In the compute section, we will cover how to configure your EC2 instance into either the VPC or outside the VPC or into the private network or in the public network. So we will cover all the aspects of the EC2 instance. Then how we can use the EBS volume. We can use the EBS volume to install your operating system, as well as it's you can just think this EBS volume as your hard disk, which you can connect with your hard disk. You can even eject your hard disk, and you can then insert your hard disk with other computer as well. So the EBS volume exact same. However, you cannot connect EBS volume with the two instance at the same time. So there are some limitation, as well as we have the limitation in our own hard disk. So we cannot attach the same hard disk to the different servers. Then we will cover the elastic load balancing into the compute section, then auto scaling, how it's work, how we can create the group policies. Then we will cover the ECS, that's the elastic container services, then the Lambda function, this is the serverless applications services into the AWS cloud. Then the elastic beanstalk, this is the another application which help you to configure your environment without even you don't even worry about what type of hardware they are going to be used and how you have to deploy your application. You don't need to be worry about them. You just need to upload your application onto the AWS, and the elastic beanstalk will take care of rest things like provision the EC2 instance hardware, disk is disk into the EC2 instance, and the network interface into your EC2 instance. All these kind of things will be covered by the elastic beanstalk style itself. Though you don't need to be to provision the EBS separately, then network interface and other things. You don't need to be. There are some templates already created into the AWS, and the elastic beanstalk will take care of them. Then we will move to the storage like the ES3 first. That is the first storage which and the oldest storage in the AWS, which is the oldest storage released by um, AWS. And we will cover all type of the S3, like the S3 standard, S3 infrequent access, S3 one zone access, S3 glacier, S3 deep glacier. So all kind of S3 storage we will cover. And you should also understand which type of storage you have to use in the scenario based question. And because it should be you should also consider the cost. If you the cost should not be high, and based on your data utilization, you should use the appropriate S3 storage. Then this is the EFS is EFS storage, and it's the file elastic file storage. It's elastic file storage. You can consider it like the UNC path. So you can just attach this EFS volume with the multiple EC2 instance at the same times. However, EBS volume you cannot do that. Do that. Then the storage gateway, FSX, Snowball, Snowmobile. Let's suppose you have the ton of data, like the petabyte of the data, so that's not feasible options to migrate your data to the AWS data center over the internet, because the cost of the even internet utilization and time, it will take the more time. So yeah, the best option is you have to put the request to AWS, and they will analyze your request, and based on them they will send you the hardware device. So and you can upload your data to the Snowball, and then send it back to AWS, and they will configure it for you into their own data center. And the Snowmobile, it's huge, like let's suppose is the container type. If you have the huge database even more than petabyte, so yeah, then you have to use this Snowmobile. Okay, then the networking and content delivery sections. In the networking and content delivery sections, we will cover the VPC. It's sorry, it's a typo here. It's the VPC, virtual private cloud. We will cover also the CloudFront, how you can use the CloudFront to increase the performance of your application, and how you can quickly provide the content to your end user. And then we will cover the Route 53, Global Accelerator, Amazon API Gateway, and the Direct Connect, what's their use in AWS. We are going to cover each and every one. Okay, then the management tool, they have some few, the few management tools you have to understand for this architect role, like the CloudWatch is the monitoring tool, and it's basically give you the idea about what kind of what type of, how many utilization of your resources being used by which services. So you can use the CloudWatch, and you can transfer those CloudWatch log to your S3 storage as well. Then though it cannot log all type of the logs, but it will just for the utilization log. Though we have another service, the Cloud Trail, and in the Cloud Trail, it going to be log each and everything. You can consider is the like the CCTV camera. If you have configured a CCTV camera, it's not going to be filter out anything, but the CCTV camera going to be recording each and every moment. Whatever happening, it's going to be recorded there. So that's the Cloud Trail into the AWS. It's going to record each and everything, whether the users activity, services activity, each and everything going to be recorded by CloudTrail. Then the ops work, cloud formation, it's also the same type of cloud formation. It's also the automation tool, so you don't need to be worry about your how to deploy your application into the AWS. In the Elastic Beanstalk and the cloud formation, they are almost same, but in the cloud formation, you can upload your code, your application code, and based on them, it will configure your application. But in the Elastic Beanstalk, they have some limitations. Then the AWS config, system manager, these are also the management tool, and we will look into it also. And then there is one services for the media services. If you have to the transfer your media services from one type of media into the different type, let's suppose MP4 into the different type of media, then you have to use the Elastic Transporter, and we will look into it how we can use it. Okay, and they have one like the compliance responsibility. There is some compliance with AWS, and you should understand what is the your responsibility and what's the AWS responsibility. You should better understand. So let's suppose they have the shared responsibility. Cloud of the security of the cloud, that is the AWS responsibility. The security in the cloud, that's your responsibility. It's not the AWS responsibility. That's mean how you are going to configure your firewall in AWS, how you are going to be assign the permissions to the particular user, or how you are going to be encrypting your data. That's your responsibility. That's not the AWS responsibility. How you are going to manage your the operating system on your own instance or your EC2 instance, how you are going to be patch them, and how you are going to use your the access key management. That's your responsibility. That's not the AWS responsibility. AWS responsibility is how they are going to be secure their data center, their access into the data center, and how they are the disposal of the garbage, and lot of like the hardware. There the physical type of the responsibility is the AWS responsibility, where we don't have any control. That's the AWS responsibility. Okay, so we will look into it also. So let's move. We have to also understand few DevOps services, and if you are into the DevOps field, that's fine. Then you have to go through few other services as well. But as per the architect course, you have to understand few services. uh, let's suppose the ATL job, if you heard about the ATL batch, that's the AWS Glue responsibility. If there is something, as per the ATL process, the extract and transform, and you load your data into the database, your raw data into the database, that's the AWS Glue services. So we will also look at the AMR, Kinesis, Athena, into the AWS, and what's their use into the AWS, and how we can utilize them. Okay, so this is the AWS services which we are going to be cover into our course. And then we will cover the database, and we have the Amazon RDS database. Let's say they have the MySQL, MS SQL Server instance, so you do not need to be worry about their underlying hardware. You just need to configure the instance, and you can use them with your application. Then they have Amazon Aurora. This is the Amazon proprietary database. It's developed by their own. So this is the Aurora database. You can use Aurora as well. It's a very fast database. And they have the NoSQL database. We called it the DynamoDB. Okay. So this is the DynamoDB. We can if you are going to be used as a as a NoSQL database, then use the DynamoDB. Then Elastic Cache, that is the in-memory cache database. So it's basically used for to improve your application performance. Redshift database is basically used for the data warehouse. If you have to use your database on the AWS, then use the Redshift. Then few integration services, let's say the SNS, that's the notification services. And you have whatever, you can configure your CloudWatch, you can configure other services, and based on your on the trigger, it's based on the trigger, SNS services will send the notification to you on your personal email or whatever email you have configured. So you will get those email daily, or whatever type you configure the SNS. So you are going to get the notification by these SNS services, and it's very useful. And into the let's move to the second services, that's the SQS services. That's the the queue services. It basically use when you have to be loose couple your applications. Loose coupling means the one application, one service is not dependent on the another services. And if just in case you can think, if one services goes down, that's not it should not be happen that your entire application will goes down. So that's how you should consider your architecture. Okay, if one services goes down, that particular part of the application should stop working. No, it should not impact on other the parts of the application. So that's how SQS come into the picture. Then is the the SWF, MQM, MQ, and the step function services also there. So we will look into it also. Okay, so these are the service which we are going to cover.